Welcome to this third video of Azure Data Engineering questions. Let's get started with the third question. What are the different Azure data storage services? There are different services that are provided by Azure Data Storage in such a way that every service has a different utility. Now let's understand what I mean by that. First is Azure Blobs. So Azure Blobs are the kind of services which provides a storage for the data. Basically, it stores data and support analytics with ADLS. So suppose you are bringing any file. Suppose you are importing any file from the source and transforming it using ETL pipelines. But you will need to store it in the cloud so that you will be able to then process the file further for suppose another analytics or creating dashboards or sending it to machine learning engineers team. And it's also support analytics with ADLS. What do I mean by that? ADLS is nothing but Azure Data Lake Storage, and it supports analytics. What do I mean is in Azure Blobs, you can create one folder inside another folder, right? And inside that folder, we can create another folder. And in that, we can create the file so that every file is structured according to the project. And this utility is very, very, very useful. Data analytics, data machine learning engineers, everyone using cloud mostly uses it. Second one is Azure Files, right? So Azure Files is nothing but a shared folder for multiple teams. Suppose I'm working in analytics department, and suppose another person is working in sales, right? Suppose the third person is working in marketing. Now, what will happen is a share Azure file would be a common folder where I can keep a file that I want to send to them. They can keep the any file that they want to send to me, right? The third person can also keep the file, and another team can also use it. Another team can also use it, which is very useful. Now let's look at the third Azure Queues. So Azure Queues is nothing but a messaging store, right? Messaging store where same example, suppose my team analytics department can talk with a person who is in sales department in that particular messaging store, and this is very useful. Now the fourth one is Azure Tables. So Azure Tables are like you can create the tables, but there would be no SQL tables, right? Unstructured tables. And for that, this Azure Table Service is highly used. Now, the fifth one is Azure Disk. So, Azure Disk is like the hard disk of your computer. But suppose you have created a virtual machine in your Azure platform, right? So, for storing the data into that virtual machine, you will need a storage. So, it is like a hard disk that you can provide where you can keep the data or do analysis on it. So these are the services that are provided. Let's also see in Azure portal how these services really looks and where are they. So you can simply go to your Azure portal, and when you go, it will look something like this. You can simply go to search box and type storage accounts, click on it. When you click on it, you will see similar interface where if you have already prepared or created any storage account, it will appear here. You can create multiple storage accounts, but if you have not created yet, you can create it using this particular option. Right? You can when you click on create, a new page will open where it will ask you to update the details. For now, we already have a storage account. We can click on it. When I click on it, it will take me to this overview page. And what I can do is, so see, this is the Azure Blobs, right? And here hierarchical namespace has been enabled. Now this is the game changer. Now the second one is, and let's also go to this inside of this container. So inside of this container, inside of this Azure Blobs, there are two containers. First one is dollar logs, which is by default, which comes. This is the one I have created. And inside that container, I can create any folder. How many folder? I mean, multiple folders. You can create folders. You can then also upload the file. Now let's go back to the storage. So this was the Azure blobs. Now let's look at the file services. So this is the file service, and you can create the common folder here. You can the queue services here and the table services here. So this was the utility, and these were the services that are provided by Azure Data Storage. Let's move on to the next question.